He's not Ralph Bakshi. I'm not Frank Frazetta. But we did watch 1983's animated Fire and Ice.
From a time when the world was new and everything was possible. From the film creator of Wizards and Lord of the Rings comes fantasy and adventure. Action. And suspense. Fire and Ice.
I spit on peace.
Based on characters created by Ralph Bakshi and fantasy illustrator Frank Frazetta. It's a journey into a whole new world of adventure. It's the image of imagination. Fire and Ice.
This was a collaboration between Frank Frazetta and Ralph Bakshi. Obviously, this is hot on the heels of American Pop.
Actually, this is a second film after.
Is it the second?
There's one in between, so this was his 8th film.
What was in between that one and this one?
I don't remember, didn't write that in my notes.
Okay. Well, anyway.
Because it wasn't important.
But, well, I was going to say, this is kind of inspired. Like, at the time, heavy metal was a big thing.
Which came out 2 years before, in 1981.
And Frank Frazetta was, like, one of the most sought-after cover artists. He had done multiple heavy metal covers and novels for Edgar Rice Burroughs and you know, the Barsoom Project and like legitimately, Ralph Bakshi was in demand. Frank Frazetta was in demand, and they got together and decided, hey, why don't we do our own thing? And so they put together this concept, which I'm just going to say, it's not the most original story on the planet.
There's barely a story here to begin with. Let's be honest about this. Fuck it. Here's a story, okay? So you got these people from the north. Was it
Necron?
Necron and his mom. And so
in her magical moo-moo.
And so, anyways, they're from the north. They're heading south. They're basically creating glaciers and just basically turning everything into a
big, giant, icy wasteland.
Yeah, and so they're on their way down to wherever the last kingdom is, down south.
The Fire Kingdom.
And so they send an envoy for a peace agreement, basically just saying, hey, surrender, you're fucked.
This is your message of peace? A demand for our total and unconditional surrender?
We call it an offer of alliance, Your Majesty.
Yeah, you can join us, and we'll have an alliance, but you'll be subservient to the wishes of Lord Necron. But we won't come in and steal all your hot, sweet, largely voluptuous women. Yeah. And they're all like, "Nah, man, we ain't down with that."
I call it blackmail.
My Lord Necron's offer.
To hell with Necron and his offer. We are free men, not slaves.
We're going to do our own thing because we like it hot. And Necron's all like, oh, you do you?
Well, I'm going to steal your hot daughter.
Oops.
And really from there, shenanigans ensue.
Yeah. Yeah, there are shenanigans. There is Larn, our hero, our braided hero. Yeah. With a beautiful long ponytail braid and his super sweet skivvies. Yeah. And he is there to rescue Princess Tigra. And I get it. I'd rescue the fuck out of her.
Yeah. He sucks at it though, because she gets captured multiple times throughout this movie.
Yes. And therein lies the biggest issue. It is literally capture the princess over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And while the action sequences by themselves are really beautifully rendered, yes. The animation is great, the characters are great, all that. The
characters are very flat in one note.
Well, yeah,
the animation is freaking gorgeous. Rotoscoping needs to come back.
Yeah.
I understand it's an expensive thing, but I would think now with AI, shoot a motherfucker, have the AI rotoscope that shit, and let it rock, let it roll.
I was gonna say they do it now with motion capture.
It's not the same.
You're
It
not
is not
wrong.
the fucking same. It's
the hand-drawn look is uniquely hand-drawn.
Yeah.
And while you can cell shade and do, black lines around your 3D characters, all that, it loses something in the interpretation. And I don't know what it is, but you're absolutely right. Rotoscoped animation has its very own unique look. Hand-drawn animation of any stripe has its very own unique quirks and properties that you can't really replicate it any other way.
No, there's absolutely nothing like it. And some of those shots are so damn beautiful. Like the scene where Tigra is hiding from the subhuman guys, and she's in that hollowed out log. And that shot with just her close up of her face and the shadow, and you can see through the log and all that stuff is so beautifully done.
We have Lauren who's trying to rescue Tigra through this whole thing, and from the subhumans who were sent by Necron to bring her back up to the north, and then Dark Wolf appears, and really Dark Wolf is the star of the show when it boils down to it, because you don't need to know anything about him. He doesn't need to explain himself. You know exactly who he is. He's the guy with the wolf mask and the fucking axe, and he is there to beat ass and save princesses, and then he's gonna go on about his merry way. He just like a stiff drink before he goes. And that's it. He doesn't want to be the prince. He doesn't want to be the lauded hero. He just really enjoys the craft of whacking people with axes.
Yes. It's his calling.
So
yes, killing is his business, and business is very good.
So Princess Tigra winds up in the clutches of the evil Necron, who the mother tries to marry to Necron.
Why have you brought me this?
This is your bride, my son.
And Necron just ain't having it because he don't need no woman telling him no what for, no not. How dare you think that I need your peace?
I spit on you. Next time you present me with one of your little sluts, mother dear, I'll squash you like a bug.
You just a skanky flues, and I'm just gonna sit over here and you know what? I'm so hot, I'm just gonna touch myself. I don't need no woman. I'm just gonna sit around here and be magical. And
I think he is magical in that regard, if you take my meaning.
I do. But then, Lauren shows up to save Tigra again, and then Dark Wolf has to take care of business because Lauren and Tigra fuck it all up, and Tigra's brother fucks it all up. But they do have some sweet dragon hawks, which are just pterodactyls, but with better, with cooler names and easier to spell. And they fly them in, and they all die, but Dark Wolf and Lawrence and Dark Wolf takes an axe to fucking Necron, and they all live happily ever after.
And the king lets out the fucking lava and melts all the ice, and
steam baths all around.
Yeah, exactly.
Plot-wise, there is nothing happening here.
No.
You have seen all of this shit, and you've seen it
better.
I was going to say you've seen it better, and you've seen it in the context of after-school cartoons like He-Man, maybe.
Yeah, He-Man absolutely is better stories than this.
Thundar the Barbarian, perhaps.
Thundercats. Yeah.
Conan the Barbarian. Oh, which is not a coincidence. The two gentlemen that wrote the script for this both worked for Marvel, and they both wrote Conan stories. So it's very much like the most underwritten comic book movie I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah. Actually, and it's funny, I actually agree with Gene Siskel on this one, who knowing doesn't happen. Gene Siskel gave this quote, attractive to look at, but slow-moving, predictable story makes viewing it much like reading a comic book with pages made of lead. So I thought that was very funny.
Well done. Well done. Mr.
Also very funny, unintentionally, and it sucks that it's like this, but when I was watching the Subhumans, it reminds me of this episode of Scooby-Doo with the caveman. That's the oh my God. The villain.
Yeah.
I can't help but to see the Scooby-Doo caveman. I'll throw him up here.
7 days a week.
So I gotta ask, I know that we both loved American Pop.
Yes.
Why did you pick this as the follow-up? Because there's a bunch of Ralph Bakshi films, and some of them are much more, character-driven and plot-driven and story-driven than this. But why did we land here?
I guess really to see the kind of like the polar opposite end of where American Pop is so competent.
Yes.
And so dense, and how that movie watches like a live-action movie, except for it's animated. This is the exact opposite in every fucking regard. Like, this looks very much like a cartoon animated movie. It's gorgeous, but there's zero substance to this at all. It is all icing.
And American Pop rests firmly on the shoulders of its great character work and its great character stories and how it goes on generation after generation, and it's so inventive and believable and grounded. And this
has none of that.
No.
Nothing.
No. And that's kind of the shame of it, because if this had a better story, this would be legendary.
Yeah.
But
again, it's gorgeous animation. It's right up there with Heavy Metal. If you've seen Heavy Metal, this is actually better than Heavy Metal in a lot of ways as far as the animation goes.
Animation-wise, sure. But story-wise, the Tarna story at the very end of the Heavy Metal movie is like 20 minutes long, but it's infinitely more involved than this is. There's a lot more character development and a lot more story told in the context of that. And that's basically just, a chick on a dragon hawk flying around and hacking people to pieces, but for a good reason. So, I mean...
Wow, you're 100% correct on that one. That last little bit, the Tarna story is this, but much better done.
Much less
done.
Drawn out, much less repetitive.
Yeah.
They do it once, they do it right, they move on to the next thing, and then so on. The other big thing about this, the soundtrack for this was written by William Kraft.
Not familiar with them.
And you shouldn't be, but the reason I bring that up is because when we talk great fantasy films, and we've talked about a lot of fantasy films, but going back to like John Borman's Excalibur, which has one of the most incredible soundtracks that was ever put, and it all is to give you the vibe, the feel, the flavor of great fantasy, and it even though it's some of it's existing music, some of it was written by Trevor Jones. It's just almost like another character within the film. And it enlightens and elevates everything else. Even if the scene is kind of hokey, that fucking Wagner coming in, na, you're like, yeah! Then we go to Conan. And Conan had Basil Polidorus. And the music is so good, Arnold didn't have to act. It acted for him. When he was sad, the music sounded sad. When he was, triumphant, the music was triumphant. Because Arnold Schwarzenegger could not act in that movie. And if you just turn the volume off and just watch Arnold, his face is through the whole movie. But the music did all the work for him. And it made that movie legendary, is really what it boils down to. So the part and parcel of any great fantasy film, from The Dark Crystal, there's so many great fantasy films that without that great music, it really lessens the impact of the story. And the music for this is so fucking made for TV. It is so dondering and repetitive. It's like,
the music is so bad in this that I don't remember the melody to it at all whatsoever.
It's the theme song from Hogan Heroes sped up. I'm not making that up, man. I heard that and I thought, I know this ditty, and then I was like listening and I'm going, oh my God, that's Hogan's Heroes. So have fun when you edit that. have some phenomenal notes for this film. I cannot wait. I'm glad you picked it because I get to like nerd the fuck out.
Go ahead. Nerd out.
So they actually did like a very involved casting process for the rotoscoping characters, for the actors and models that they were going to be rotoscoping for. So you had Cynthia Leek as Princess Tigra, Randy Norton as Lauren, and then Steve Sander, who is the only person that not only did he do the look of Dark Wolf, but he also did the voice of Dark Wolf. But they like looked at over 50 models to cast Tigra by herself. Now that's a lot of attractive women, and I know Frank was quite the ladies' man. The budget for this film was $1.2 million. The box office for this film was $860,000. So it does not a box office hit. But Fox wanted this film, and they specifically wanted it because they knew that every Bakshi film, while it may not make money in its initial commercial run, it's going to run in theaters forever and ever and ever. So they knew this was a long-term investment. So they weren't like oh, only 860,000, we should fire Ralph Bakshi. They were like, that's exactly what we thought was going to happen. We already talked about the screenplay, but here's one of my favorite little tidbits.
Okay.
The background painters, the people that painted all the backgrounds on this, one of them was the master of light himself, Thomas Kincaid, who you can find hanging in your favorite grandma's living room or den or whatnot. He is the master of all of those cheesy little cottage pictures with the sun coming down and hitting the light just the right way.
I'll throw one right here.
The other background artist is James Gurney, and James Gurney is somebody who I actually follow on YouTube. He does a lot of plein air painting, but he's famous for doing the Dinotopia books. Okay. So he became famous.
Isn't it a movie too?
Yeah, they did do a movie of it, but he did the books first, and then they did a movie adaptation of it. But yeah, James Gurney is a ton of fun to watch. He does a lot of dinosaur artwork and stuff like that, and he's done like covers for National Geographic and a lot of big magazines, Omni, Nova, that sort of thing. But yeah, Dinotopia is his one big claim to fame. And if you're familiar with their styles, you can literally watch the movie and pick out who did which background just based on that. This has been released on VHS, Betamax, CED, Laserdisc, DVD, and Blu-ray. In 2010, Robert Rodriguez acquired the license. He's planning on doing a remake of this.
I don't think that's going to happen because that was like in 2010 or some shit like that. I think that's a dead project.
It might be a dead project, but I know that there is a concept movie poster floating around out there that he had commissioned.
Yeah, that was 10 years ago.
So 15.
Either way, I think we're safe from that. Not that you can really ruin this movie. Let's be honest.
No. You could only improve it. You could literally only improve it. But in 2022, Dynamite Entertainment, the comic book company, actually acquired the rights, and they're doing a prequel to this. As of 2023, they announced who the creative team was, but I don't know if the comic's been put out yet.
It's out. It came out in 2023.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in August 2023.
So, but here's the fun thing about this. They did this extensive thing with casting the models to get the looks right on that. There is a making of video where it actually shows all the behind the scenes footage that they shot, but then it also shows the animation that they derived from it, and it's kind of great to actually get to watch that. You get to actually see the live action stuff. They took 2 weeks to shoot all the live action stuff, and they shot it all on a closed set in the valley in California. But then after this, it did okay. I'm sure I'm going to share the making of video with you so that you can edit in the stuff that you like. But it's a fascinating watch because they go through the entire process of like the concept art all the way to the finished frames that are in the film and how they did it. But they show like several sequences, the live action footage that was used for the rotoscoping. So when you watch the behind the scenes stuff, they did this weird process that was a thing that was invented by Disney in the 60s. It was kind of been forgotten about or disused, I guess, but they used a photocopier to transfer toner onto the acetate rather than hiring inkers to go in and draw everything. You would do your pencil drawing from your live footage, and then you would take that and you would get your acetate sheet, and then you would hand draw it. And to speed up the process on this, they just took the pencil sketches and then photocopied them onto acetate, and then they gave them to the colorist to do, which gives it this sketchy look. When you normally see an animated film, you'll see like really clean, solid black lines, and that's the hand-painted acetate cells. On this one in particular, it really does look like somebody did it with a pencil because of that photocopying technique. So
interesting.
It's interesting. If you're an animation nerd like I am, it's one of those things that you immediately catch right away. But it was fascinating to actually watch the process, because this guy's like literally just slapping a piece of, a pencil drawing on and hitting the photocopier and pulling the acetate off and then taking that one out, putting the next one in. It's like, you feel terrible for him because he had to do that for an hour and a half times 24 cells per second. So, I mean, it's just thousands and thousands and thousands of these things. And they only had one machine, and it'll look like he was the one guy that did the whole thing. Because in the actual behind-the-scenes footage, there's stacks of colored binders behind him, and they're like all this thick, just one on top of the other. So he's got to do each one of these. It was kind of tragic and sad, but funny. But it's a fascinating look at this, and I don't know if that's on the most recent Blu-ray of this, I'm sure, but the copy of it that I saw, it actually said that the only copy of this that they had archived was from Ralph Bakshi's personal VHS tape of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Ralph Bakshi's still alive. Frank Frazetta just passed away not too terribly long ago. And I know that Ralph Bakshi is actually selling original paintings on eBay right now. They're in the pricey.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, trust me, Ralph's doing fine. If you can afford one, you're doing okay. So, but yeah, it's interesting to do that. But he did a Mighty Mouse cartoon shortly after this, and it got canceled because there was a controversial scene of Mighty Mouse sniffing some pink powder, and it was parents lost their mind over that one. And then after he did that, he did Cool World, which was Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but with Kim Basinger as Hollywood and Brad Pitt in one of his very early roles, and Gabriel Byrne as
thinking back on it, I probably should have picked that. Probably been a more interesting film to talk about.
I actually saw that one in the theater when it came out. Yeah, it was rated R, and I was old enough to go see rated R movies. So I saw that one in the theater. It's fun. It's an interesting watch, and we should most definitely do a review on that one down the road.
So here's my thoughts on this movie. If you watch the opening sequence of this, where you got Necron doing the glaciers, it looks like he's taking like this shit. It looks like he's so constipated. Like he's really working this thing out hardcore. This thing is a piece of shit. I mean, again, the artwork is fantastic, but the story is just so boring.
Blah. Yeah,
it's just boring. And yeah, that's the biggest sin of this movie, is the fact that it's boring. Even with all those cool action sequences and stuff like that, everything in the middle is just dull as shit.
And repetitive.
Yeah, very repetitive.
Yeah, it's the giant lizard sequence, the wolf sequence, the underwater Kraken sequence. Yeah, if any one of them by themselves is fine. We didn't need three of them. Yeah. They really needed to mix it up a bit. And they also needed to flesh the characters out a little bit. Because
there's no backstory to anybody. No. You don't know nothing about nobody.
Yeah. So
nothing. You get that little bit from the beginning, which doesn't really say anything either, except for that you got, hey, here's these two people from the north. They're evil. They're taking shit over.
Hey, here's the people from the south. They have fire. But if you're a Bakshi fan, watch it. If you're a hardcore fantasy fan, watch it. But mark my words, somebody needs to take this film, they need to rescore it, and then put it back out. And just that change, just the musical change, would be enough to improve this substantially.
Here's the other thing. You can't exactly edit out any scenes either, because this movie's like an hour and 20 minutes. It's super, super short.
You could cut this movie to an hour and I wouldn't care.
You're probably right. Probably be better for it. So somebody do a fan edit. Take out the multiple scenes of the princess getting captured and rescued and recaptured and
once.
Yeah.
You know, you can do the subhumans capturing her from the chamber, and then you could have her escaping into the woods and getting away, and then you can have Larn rescue her, and then you can have the big giant dude and the witch. They can show up. That part can stay, and then you can get one more capture before Darkwolf shows up and lays down the law with that axe. But then all the rest of this shit you can just leave it on the cutting room floor and we'll be better for it. And Mr. Bakshi, I love you. I love your work. I've been a fan for years and years and years. And it's not that I don't appreciate what this is. It's just it just feels phoned in.
Yeah.
Like
I almost feel like if Frank Frazetta just took over the whole thing, because it's artistically it's beautiful, but there's no story. Which, again, I've only seen these 2 movies from Bakshi, so I don't know if the rest of the storytelling is any good.
I'm going to tell you that Wizards is an infinitely more complex and interesting narrative than this is, and
so maybe I'm onto something then. Maybe.
Yeah. Cool World is got its own fantasy mythology that's kind of built into the whole thing, and it's very much Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but for grown-ups. But it doesn't shy away from adult themes and adult ideas, and it's kind of interesting and fascinating and different, but it never feels like it's phoning it in.
Yeah.
It may miss on how sincerely some of it comes across, or even how silly some of it is, but it never feels accidental. It never feels like, oh, I know, another chase sequence.
Yeah.
Tigra's, we must save her. Never feels like any of that at all. I think the next movie we should watch should probably be Wizards, because I think you deserve a really great story from a Ralph Bakshi film.
There we go.
So,
anything else?
If you're a Bakshi fan, buy it, throw it on the shelf, and watch all the other Bakshi films, and then be all like, oh, I guess we're going to watch Fire and Ice now. Throw this shit in, and then get your socks, fold them, pair them up, all of your
Yeah, this really is good background.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, throw it in the background.
If you look up and see 5 minutes of it, you'll be like, hey, Fire and Ice is really cool. But if you sit and watch it from beginning to end, you're going to be like, oh, fuck. That's the best way I can explain it. This is sock folding movie.
I think that's what we got.
We will catch you next time.